Shalom, Chavarim. Today we're going to read chapter 5 of Matthew, known as the Beatitudes. And as Debbie wrote here, Beatitudes. So to get us in the right attitude, let's read these 3 verses by Isaiah. And you will say, in that day, I will praise you, Yahweh, though you were angry with me, is turned away your anger, and you comfort me. Behold, El is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. For my strength and song, Yahweh, Yahweh is, and he has become my salvation. Therefore, you will draw water with joy from the wells of salvation. And when the crowd saw Yeshua, he went up the mountain, and when he sat, his disciples drew near to him, and he opened his mouth and was teaching them and said, Blessed are they who are poor in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, when we think about these Beatitudes, let's imagine that we have lost everything, but we are still alive. Would we still be grateful for our life, our miraculous bodies, and the salvation of Yahweh and Yeshua? So, number 42, the word translated as blessed is tovayun, derived from the root tov, meaning good. Literally, it is goodness towards you. And then 43 is Isaiah 57 and 66, when we refer to spirit. And let's look at the Aramaic word they are using for spirit. In verse 3, look at that, ruach is spirit. So looking at verse 3 in Aramaic, this first word, the root is tov, the tet, vav, bet. And it's saying tofchun, which is saying, blessed are they who lamen meskin, and that word means poor, beruach, and that's the word being used for spirit, the ruach. Dedilechun, for they, so malkusa, or malchut, that is kingdom, dashmayo, that's for the heavens. So looking at Isaiah 57, verse 15 is what's referenced, but starting at 14, and one shall say, heap it up, prepare the way, take the stumbling block out of the way of my people. For thus says the high and lofty one who inhabits eternity and holy, whose name is in the high and holy place. I dwell with him who has a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. Oh, isn't that so heartwarming? And let's look at 66 verse 2. Thus says Yahweh, heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. My footstool, where is the house that you will build me? And where is then the place of my rest? So this is a fascinating image of earth being the footstool of Yah and his throne in heaven. So the enormity of Yahweh, thinking about what scientists are now finding, that the universe is older than they thought. It's more than 13 billion years. So it's beyond our imagination. Verse 2, for all these things, and my hand has made, and exist all these things, and says Yahweh, but on this one will I look, and on him who is poor and contrite of a spirit, and who trembles at my word. I'm sure we have all felt that trembling feeling periodically as we contemplate the word of Yahweh. Verse 4, Blessed are they who are mourning, because they will be comforted. And that reference is Isaiah 61 and 66. The Spirit of Yah is upon me, because has anointed Yahweh me to preach good tidings to the poor. He has sent he to heal the brokenhearted to proclaim to the captives liberty, deror, and to those who are bound the opening of the prison, koach, freedom to the prisoners. Verse 2, to proclaim the year acceptable of Yahweh and the day of vengeance of our Yahweh, to comfort all mourners, to console mourners in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that may be called the oaks of righteousness, the planting of Yahweh, that he may be glorified. I love the analogy of a tree of life, that even in death, there is a tree that ties us all together, the planting of that seed, which created the chain of life. Okay, and then Isaiah 66, 10 through 13. Rejoice with Yerushalayim and be glad with her, all you who love her. Rejoice with her for joy, all you who mourn for her. That you may feed and be satisfied with the consolation of her bosom, that you may drink deeply and be delighted with the abundance of her glory. Yeah, having an attitude of abundance is very important for helping us survive. For thus says Yahweh, behold, I will extend to her like a river peace, and like a stream flowing the glory, which is kavod here. So when they say glory, goodness and splendor, glory due to his name, the glory of the Gentiles, then you shall feed on sides, you be carried on her knees, be dandled. 13, as one whom his mother comforts, so I will comfort you, and in Jerusalem you shall be comforted. And when you see this and shall rejoice, your heart and your bones like grass shall flourish, and shall be known the hand of Yahweh to his servants and his indignation to his enemies. So mourning, those verses are to help in times of war as well. Verse 5, blessed are they who are meek, because they will inherit the earth. And Psalm 37:11, Psalm 37:11, but the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. So meek is wa'anawim, the humble. And what does it mean to inherit the earth? It's all the fruits of the earth. Land, water, the rocks, the air, the rain. Look at that. The abundance of peace. Peace, it is well. Be at ease, do not be afraid. Good health, peace in the land. Those are all the blessings for those who are meek or humble. So it's time to eat some humble pie. Verse 6, blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they will be satisfied. Zephaniah Okay, let's look at Psalm 149 before we going back. Psalm 149, verse 4. For takes pleasure Yahweh in his people. He will beautify the humble with salvation. Look at that. He will beautify the humble with salvation. What is beautify? Yefaer. So salvation will beautify the humble. Imagine a homeless person who is humble, and what salvation will beautify that person. Verse 6, blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they will be satisfied. Zephaniah 2, verse 3, seek Yahweh, all you meek of the earth, who his justice have upheld. Seek righteousness, seek humility. It may be that you will be hidden in the day of the anger of Yahweh. Psalm 11, verses 3 through 7. If the foundations are destroyed, the righteous what can do? Yahweh is in temple, his holy, of Yahweh in Shamayim. Throne is his eyes, behold. His eyelids test the sons of men. Test. Yibchanu. They try. It's a trial, like Abraham had. Verse 5, Yahweh, the righteous tests, but the wicked and the one who loves violence hates his soul. He will rain upon the wicked coals, fire and brimstone, and a wind burning shall be the portion of their cup. For righteous is Yahweh, righteous, he loves the upright, beholds his countenance. The upright beholds his countenance. Panemo, his countenance, face, and beholds, Yehezu, his eyes, behold, the upright behold, they see. And also Isaiah 66, 11 and 12, which we read earlier, that you may feed and be satisfied with the consolation of her bosom, that you may drink deeply and be delighted with the abundance of her glory. So that image of being a baby in a bosom, drinking, being delighted, that comfort. For thus says Yahweh, behold, I will extend to her like a river peace, and like a stream flowing the glory of the Gentiles. Then you shall feed on her sides, shall you be carried, and on her knees be dandled. It's image of a baby. So those who hunger and thirst for righteousness will be satisfied as if they were a baby nursing. Blessed are they who are merciful, because mercies will be upon them. Psalm 18, verse 25. With the merciful you will show yourself merciful. With a man blameless you will show yourself blameless. And the same words appear in 2 Samuel 22, verse 26. Verse 8, blessed are they who are pure in their hearts, because they will see Elohim. What is purity of heart? Psalm 24, verse 4, starting at 1. Of David, a psalm. Yahweh's, the earth is, and all its fullness, the world, and all those who dwell therein. For he upon the seas has founded it, and upon the rivers established it. Who may ascend into the hill of Yahweh, or who may stand in his holy place? He who has clean hands and pure a heart, who not has lifted up to an idol, nor his soul sworn deceitfully. This is an important verse. Clean hands There is a ritual hand washing that probably came out of this, but I guess your hands are clean of blood, pure heart, who has not lifted up to an idol. Your heart has served Yahweh, the one, nor his soul sworn deceitfully. In your soul, any deceit against fellow man has been repented. They will see Elohim. 48, 51, Psalm 51 and 15. So Psalm 51 has these words: create in me a clean heart, O Yah, and renew right spirit within me. Psalm 51 verse 10, a heart clean create in me, Elohim, and a spirit steadfast renew within me. Psalm 15, 1 and 2, a psalm of David. Yahweh, who may abide in your tabernacle, who may dwell in your holy hill. He who walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart. Verse 9, blessed are they who make peace, because they will be called the sons of Elohim. 49, Psalm 122. Psalm 122, verse 8, for the sake of my brothers and companions, I will say now, peace be within you. Because of the house Yahweh our Yah, I will seek your good. Isaiah 26, verse 12, Yahweh, you will establish peace for us, for also all our works you have done in us. Yahweh has done all our works in us. This word for done, pa'alata, major dwelling. Wow. So is Yah dwelling in you? Is the Spirit dwelling in you? The Ruach HaKodesh is the Spirit dwelling in you. Psalm 72, verses 3 through 7. Will bring the mountains peace to the people, and the little hills by righteousness. He will bring justice to the poor of the people. He will save the sons of the needy, and will break in pieces the oppressor. They shall fear you as long as the sun, and endure moon time throughout all generations. He shall come down like rain upon the mown grass, like showers that water the earth. Shall flourish in his days the righteous, and abundance of peace until is no more the moon. So looking at these verses, the nurturing of rain on grass, showers, so that image of Yah pouring in so that we shall flourish, righteousness and abundance, and as long as the sun and the moon endure. Well, the sun's got a few billion years left for us. Verse 10, blessed are they who are persecuted because of righteousness, because theirs is the kingdom of Shamayim. Psalm 38, verse 20, and those who render evil for good, they are my adversaries, because I follow what is good. Isaiah 66, verse 5, hear the word of Yahweh. You who tremble at his word, said your brothers who hated you, who cast you out for sake of my name, let be glorified, Yahweh, that we may see your joy, but they shall be ashamed. So as we read this, think about blessing those who curse you. Blessed are you whenever they curse you and they persecute you, and they say every evil word about you falsely because of me. Psalm 119, 85. Psalm 119, 85 through 87, but let's start at this section. Faints for your salvation, my soul, in your word, but I hope. Fail my eyes your word from searching your word, saying, when will you comfort me? For I have become like a wineskin in smoke. Your statutes not yet do I forget. How many are the days of your servant? When will you execute me on those who persecute me? Judgment. When will you execute judgment? Have dug for me the presumptuous pits, which not according to your law. All your commandments are faithful. Wrongfully they persecute me. Help me. Almost they made an end of me on earth, but I not did forsake your precepts. According to your loving kindness, revive me, so that I may keep the testimony of your mouth. So that kind of prayer, when you have been wronged and you pray for Yah, when you have been wronged, you pray for Yah according to his loving kindness to revive you, so you may keep the testimony of Yah's mouth, the words of Yeshua. And that's what happens when you bless those who curse you. 12, then rejoice and be glad, because your reward in Shamayim is great, for likewise they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt should become bland, with what would it become seasoned? For anything not fit is but to be thrown outside and trodden by man. You are the light of the world. It is not possible to hide a city that is built on a mountain. The light, Psalm 89. Blessed are the people who know the joyful sound, Yahweh. In the light of your countenance they walk. The light or countenance, panecha, your face, your presence. We recognize the presence of Yah in our lives. That is the equivalent of the countenance, which we cannot see. Okay, looking at these notes on Matthew 5, Yeshua did come to fulfill the law. Don't call someone a coward or fool. Talk about adultery, lust, and divorce. They do not light a lamp and place it under a bushel, but upon a lampstand, and it lights upon all those who are in the house. Let your light shine like this in front of the sons of man, that they should see your works good, and they glorify your Father who is in Shamayim. Do not think that I have come to loosen Torah or the prophets. I have not come to loosen, but to fulfill. Let's look at 53 and 54. So this comes from Deuteronomy. Yeshua at no time loosened either Torah or the prophets. The prophetic word Yahweh gave to his prophets cannot be loosed or annulled, and neither can the Torah of Yahweh. These are two witnesses that stand as one. The word of Yahweh is both Torah, instruction in righteousness, and prophecy, declaring, foretelling, and revealing the will of Yahweh to each generation. See 18 New Testament misconceptions. Number 2, destroying the Torah in the appendix. And fulfill means to carry out or to bring to realization, to perform or do as in a person's duty, or to obey or follow the commandments as in satisfying the commandments by obeying them. Isaiah 42:21, Yahweh is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify Torah and make it honorable. Isaiah 42 reveals the work of Mashiach. We have full prophetic assurance that Mashiach will never annul Torah. Rather, he magnified Torah and wrote Torah upon the hearts and imaginations of his people. So earlier, we read about clean heart. Well, when Torah is on the heart, that is part of it. Yeshua carried out, fulfilled the prophecies regarding Mashiach. He carried them out, made them happen, just like he performed Torah, which was his duty and obligation as Mashiach. Otherwise, he would not have qualified to be Mashiach ben Yosef. It's another misconception of fulfillment. So let's look at Deuteronomy 4:2. So Deuteronomy 4:2, not you shall add to the word which I command you, nor take from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your God, which I command you. Deuteronomy 12:32, what thing, whatever I command you, be careful to observe it, not you shall add to it, nor take away from it. Verse 18, for truly I say to you that until heaven and earth pass away, not one yud or one stroke will pass from Torah until everything happens. So these are the smallest letters in the written Torah. 55 says Isaiah 40, Samuel and Deuteronomy. Isaiah 40, verse 12. Who has measured in the hollow of his hand the waters, and heaven with a span, measured and calculated in a measure the dust of the earth, and weighed in scales the mountains and the hills in a balance? Who has directed the spirit of Yahweh, or as his counselor has taught him? With whom did he take counsel, and who instructed him and taught him in the path of justice? And who taught him knowledge, and the way of understanding showed him? Behold, the nations as a drop in a bucket, and as the small dust on the scales are counted. Look, the isles as a very small thing he lifts up. We are so small. I saw a photo of the Earth taken by the rover on Mars, and we are just a little dot. And Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, and its beasts are not sufficient for a burnt offering. All nations are as nothing before him, less than nothing, worthless, and they are counted by him. Then to whom will you liken Yah, El, or what likeness will you compare to him? An image molds the workman, and the goldsmith with gold overspreads it in chained silver, the silversmith casts. Whoever is too impoverished for such a contribution, a tree not that will rot, chooses a workman skillful. He seeks for himself to prepare a carved image, not will totter. Have not you known, have not you heard, has not it been told to you from the beginning, to have not understood from the foundations of the earth? He who sits above the circle of the earth and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out like a curtain the Shamayim and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. Ooh, Alan, like a tent to dwell in. He brings the princes to nothing, the judges of the earth useless he makes. Scarcely not shall they be planted, scarcely not shall they be sown, scarcely not shall take root in the earth, their stock. And when also he will blow on them, and they will wither, and the whirlwind like stubble will take them away. Then to whom will you liken me, or to whom shall I be equal, says the Holy One. All those analogies. 2 Samuel 23. And these are the words of David the last. Thus says David, son of Ishai, and thus says the man raised up on high, the anointed of Yah of Jacob, and the sweet psalmist of Israel. The Spirit of Yahweh spoke by me, and his word was on my tongue. Said Elohai of Israel to me, spoke the rock of Israel, he who rules over men must be just, ruling in Yareh of Elohim. Yareh, instead of fear, think of pitching tents with Yah. Instruction. And he shall be like the light of the morning when rises the sun, a morning without clouds, by clear shining after rain, like the tender grass springing out of the earth. Although not so, my house is with El, yet a covenant everlasting he has made with me, ordered in all things and secure. For this is all my salvation and all my desire, although not will he make it increase. Deuteronomy 30:11, the choice of life or death. For the commandment which I command you today, not is too mysterious for you, nor far off is it. Not in heaven it is that you should say, who will ascend for us into heaven and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it? Nor beyond the sea is it that you should say, who will go for us over the sea and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it? But near you, the word is very in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. See, I have set before you today, this day, life and good and death and evil. In that I command you today to love Yahweh, your God, to walk in his ways and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that you may live and multiply, and will bless you, Yahweh, your God, in the land which you go there to possess. But if turns away your heart, so not that you hear, and are drawn away and worship other hills and serve them, I announce to you today that surely you shall perish not. You shall prolong in your days the land which you cross over the Jordan to go in there and possess. I call as witnesses against you today, heaven and earth, life and death, that I have set before you blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both may live, you and your descendants, that you may love Yahweh, your God, that you may obey, that you may love Yahweh, that you may obey his voice, that you may cling to him, for he is your life and the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which swore Yahweh to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob, to give them. So all those scriptures justify that until heaven and earth pass away, not one yud or stroke will pass from Torah until everything happens. Verse 19, all who loosen, therefore, from one of these small commandments and teach thus to the sons of man will be called little in the kingdom of heaven, but all who do and teach this will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. 56. The word order is slightly different in Khaburis in 1905. However, the transposition does not involve a loss of letters or a change in meaning. In such instances, there will be no further comments. Okay, that's a technicality. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds more than that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Pharisees, comment of 57. Yeshua would certainly not mention the Pharisees in this context, except that they walked in a degree of righteousness. Most ancient and modern Pharisees, Orthodox, have disciplined and righteous lifestyles. Therefore, Yeshua is stating the difference. As the Ruach HaKodesh writes Torah upon the hearts of his followers, they will surpass the righteousness of the Pharisees who elevate tradition rather than Torah. Those without Torah have no righteousness, and they are certainly not borrowing any from Mashiach's righteousness while they continue in sin, regardless of what their theologians have to say. Mashiach imparts his righteousness to those who follow him and keep Torah. Through Yeshua, Yahweh is raising up a set-apart people who keep his commandments rather than making up their own religious traditions. Wow, how many people are making up their own religious traditions and following things from centuries ago that they haven't investigated? Verse 21, you have heard that it was said to those before, you should not kill, and all that kill are condemned to judgment. Exodus 20:13 and Deuteronomy 5:17. Exodus 20:13 is one of the 10 commandments. Lo tiritza, you shall not murder. Deuteronomy 5:17 repeats the 10 commandments, not you shall murder. Verse 22, but I say to you that anyone who provokes to anger his brother without cause is condemned to judgment, and anyone who should say to his brother, I spit on you, is condemned to the assembly, and anyone who should say, you are a coward, is condemned to the Gehenna of fire. That's the Hebrew word for hell or lake of fire. Don't call someone a coward or a fool. If it is therefore that you offer your offering to the altar, and there you should remember a certain grudge your brother holds against you, leave there your offering upon the altar, and go first and reconcile with your brother, and then come offer your offering. So this principle of reconciliation with a grudge against another person before entering the holy place, that's a principle of this time of year, which is the month of Elul, before the holidays of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It is a tradition to repent and make amends. Okay, footnote 59 is just a technicality. 25, be in agreement with your adversary at Torah while you are with him on the way, or else your adversary at Torah deliver you to the judge, and the judge deliver you to the officer, and you be thrown in the house of captives. Good advice. And truly I say to you that you will not come out from there until you pay the last coin. You have heard that it has been said that you should not commit adultery, but I say to you that all who looks at a woman as lustfully at once has committed adultery in his heart. Exodus 20:14, not you shall commit adultery, which is tina'ap. Deuteronomy 5:18, and not you shall commit adultery. Velo tina'ap. Verse 29, this is a tough one. And if your right eye stumbles you, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is better for you that one of your members should perish and not all of your body be thrown into Gehenna. And if your right hand stumbles you, cut it off and cast it from you, for it is better that one of your members should perish and not all your body be thrown into Gehenna. And it has been said that he that puts away his wife will give to her a writing of divorce. When takes a man a wife and marries her, and it happens that she finds favor in his eyes, because he has found in her uncleanness some, and he writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of his house. So in these times, these laws were meant for protection, for the traditions of the time. 32, but I say to you that any who puts away his wife aside from a case of fornication makes her commit adultery, and he who takes a divorced woman commits adultery. 33, again, you have heard that it has been said to those before that you shall not lie in your oath, but complete your oath to Master Yahweh. So oaths are a serious thing in Torah, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Leviticus 19:12, and not you shall swear by my name falsely, nor shall you profane the name of your Yah, Elohecha. I am Yahweh. Okay, Numbers 32:3, we'll start at 1. And spoke to Moshe, to the heads of the tribes concerning the sons of Israel, saying, this is the thing which has commanded Yahweh. A man, if makes a vow to Yahweh, or swears an oath to bind by some agreement on his soul, not he shall break his word. According to all that proceeds out of his mouth, he shall do. That's how serious it is. Verse 3. Or a woman, if makes a vow to Yahweh and binds herself by some agreement while in house of her father in her youth, and hears her father her vow and the agreement by which she has bound on her soul, and holds his peace to her father, then shall stand all her vows and every agreement with which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her father overrules her on the day that he hears, then any of her vows or her agreements by which she has bound on her soul not shall stand, and Yahweh will release her because overruled her father her. So men don't get that overrule from the father. When a 13-year-old boy makes an oath, it stands. Deuteronomy 23, verse 21, when you make a vow to Yahweh, your Elohim, not you shall delay to pay it, for surely will require it, Yahweh, your Elohim, of you, and it would be to you sin. But if you abstain from vowing, not it shall be to you sin. So guard your tongue. Okay, continuing with Matthew 5, verse 34. But I say, you should not say, I swear not by heaven, because that is the throne of Elohim, and not by the earth, because that is the footstool that is beneath his feet, and not by Jerusalem, because it is the city of the great king. So do not swear. Let's look at 64, 65, and 66. Okay, there are some smudged or hard to read letters. And 65 and 66 are Isaiah and Psalms. Isaiah 66, thus says Yahweh, heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. My footstool, where is the house that you will build me? And where is then the place of my rest? Psalm 48:2. Beautiful in elevation, the joy of all the earth is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north, the city of the king great, city of the great king. Verse 36, and not by your head should you swear, because you are not able to make it one part of the hair black or white, but your word should be but yes, yes, no, and no. Anything more than these is from evil. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 4. When you make a vow to Elohim, not do delay to pay it, for he has no pleasure in fools. What you have vowed, pay. Better that not to vow than to vow and not pay. Verse 38. You have heard that it has been said that an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Footnote 68. When Yeshua says, "You have heard it said," he refers to oral tradition. When he says, "It is written," he refers to scripture. The matter of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, according to Torah, refers to fair restitution, not literally taking out an eye or tooth. The amount to be restored must be commensurate to the loss. The loss of an eye must be rewarded the value of an eye. See Exodus 21:24, Leviticus 24:20, and Deuteronomy 19:21. Torah-less, ultra-religious judges or pagan cultures opted for barbaric punishment as crime for crime. However, this is not a Torah principle. But I say to you that you should not stand against evil, but who hits you upon your right cheek, turn also to him the other. And he that desires to go to court with you and take your coat, leave to him also your cloak. Very interesting. So let's just see 69. Do not react with evil towards evil. Rather, let patience and temperance prevail when accosted by evildoers. That's pretty hard to do, and people who can do that, we admire them. Torah instructs the strong to protect the weak, Deuteronomy 22:7. Yaakov teaches to stand firm against Satan, James 4:7. Paul teaches to stand against the strategies of the accuser in Ephesians 6:11. Neither does he mince words in Acts 13:10. Isaiah 14:15 states that Hasatan will be brought down to Gehenna and a slaughter is prepared for his children, verse 21. Revelation 20:10 promises a date for Satan in the lake of fire. In the meantime, we are to recognize that our battles are not against flesh and blood and to act accordingly. 18 New Testament misconceptions, number 18, turn thy cheek. Verse 41, he that compels you to go 1 mile, go 2 with him. Go the extra mile. He that asks you to give to him, and he desires to borrow from you, you should not deny him. You have heard that it has been said to love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you to love your enemies and bless those that curse you, and do that which is pleasing to those who hate you, and pray for those that take you by force and persecute you. 70. Yeshua says, you have heard that it has been said, implying oral law. Torah, Leviticus 19:18, does not teach that anyone should hate their enemy. It teaches you shall not avenge nor bear any grudge, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So that's when it says you have heard that it has been said, that is implying this is oral law passed down. Verse 45, so that you may be the sons of your Father who is in heaven. He that raises his sun, S-U-N, upon the good and upon the evil, and causes to descend his rain upon the just and the unjust. For if you love those that love you, what reward have you? Do not even the publicans do this? Republicans? And if you greet in peace only your brothers, what more are you doing? Do not even the publicans do this? You therefore be perfect as your Father in heaven who is perfect. So we strive to be perfect as best we can. 71, that comes from Genesis 17:1, 1 Kings, and Psalm 101. Genesis 17:1 is when Abram is renamed to Abraham. And then was Abram old 90 years and 9 years. Then appeared to Yahweh Abram, saying to him, I am El Almighty, walk before me and be blameless. And be blameless. That's the striving to perfection. And I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly greatly. And fell Abram on his face and talked with him, Elohim, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with you. You shall be a father of many nations, and no longer shall be called your name Abram, but it shall be your name Abraham, for father of many nations I have made you. So look at the blessing that comes from Abraham striving for perfection. Father to many nations. 1 Kings 8:61. Therefore, let your heart loyal to Yahweh, our Elohim, to walk in his statutes and keep his commandments as at day this. Psalm 101, 2-6, starting at 1. Of David, a psalm of mercy and justice I will sing. To you, Yahweh, I will sing praises. I will behave wisely, in a way perfect. Oh, when will you come to me? I will walk with perfect a heart within my house. Nothing I set before my eyes, thing wicked, the work of those who fall away. I hate not, it shall cling to me. A heart perverse shall depart from me, wickedness not I will know. Whoever slanders secretly his neighbor, him I will destroy. The one high of a look and proud a heart, him not I will endure. My eyes shall be on the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. He who walks in a way perfect, he shall serve me. So considering these verses, we look for the people who have emunah, faithful. So we look for people of quality who are striving for that perfection, knowing that we will not reach perfection, only Yahweh can. So after reading all this, we see all the references to the Old Testament and writings and Kings, Psalms. So these are Aramaic letters, which are the Hebrew letter forms, just in the common tongue that was spoken in the days of Yeshua. So hopefully it will help bridge the gap between traditional Judaism, Messianic Judaism, and Christianity.